If you had a roadmap for success, the question is whether you would follow that roadmap. Really, all of us going through life have roadmaps. We can look at how other people have navigated their way from challenges to prosperity, and we can decide whether we want to learn from those people or whether we want to go our own path. People that I've learned from always had a very deliberate course of action. They knew precisely what they were going to go after, and they worked toward it every single day. That's why I offer the Earning Freedom Daily Journal, so to help people who are kind of in the middle of the ocean. They may be going into the criminal justice system, they may be going through a government investigation, they may not know what's ahead of them. And so it's like being in the middle of the ocean. They don't have a compass. One day they may drift in one direction, the other day they may drift in another direction, but they never get closer to the destination where they're trying to go. That is not the pathway of leaders. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And if you get a copy of the Daily Journal, you're going to get these lessons every single day. And the cool thing about it is it's self-directed. It forces a person to think and to grow and to really hold himself accountable for the level of commitment that he is willing to make toward becoming successful. I am Michael Santos, and I'm with Prison Professors and Compliance Mitigation, the two companies that I start to help people at different stages of the journey if they help them get through challenges and struggle at any time. As you can see, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and you can see that from the clock. I think it's right here. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. I've already been working here for more than an hour on January the 28th, and if you look over at what I want to show you here, so I'll move myself out of the way. If you look over here at my finder on the window, you will see that I have been producing these daily videos every single day since the start of the year. And the reason that I am doing that, I wish I could make this bigger. I don't think I can. But you do see January 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Today is the 27th. Now it's the 28th. I will be publishing this today. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm interacting with a lot of people who are in jail or prisons, and they're people who have access to our content through different tablet devices, or because I've opened relationships with prison systems and I'm able to send these programs into the jail or into the prison either through an audio format or a video format, and the people get to read them. But what they don't really understand all of the time, and I'm going to show you that, is how important the daily work ethic is. How important it is to apply oneself every single day. And so I always say, I never ask anybody to do anything that I am not doing, and I show them. And I strive to show them in real time. So that's why you can look down below and see it's the 28th at now 5:04 in the morning. And I'm going to show you how I start. And I've done this before, right? So this is a template that I have on the screen of how I open a video every day. And I got to change this to the correct date because this is it's going to be documenting this process. And this process of documentation, I don't make any money for. It is like a seed that I plant so I can leverage new relationships into the future. And I'm willing to do the work, planting and investing in myself today for what I want to build tomorrow. And that's the same thing I'm suggesting that anybody facing a challenge do. Pursue that same strategy. Don't think about what am I getting in return for what I am doing. Rather, think about what can I do today to create more value tomorrow. And so I'm going to eliminate this screen. I'm going to show you a couple of other screens of what it means. This is a YouTube channel. And I didn't know what that was when I was in prison, of course, because the internet didn't exist. And it's not a big YouTube channel. You can see I only have roughly 3,600 subscribers. But what I do show is I build this consistency, this level that says every day. And I don't know if you can see the dates here, but it's every day I publish something new. And by publishing something new every single day, I'm building this record showing how I am working every day. And so anybody can come in here and see it. And they can see this work. Now, when I do this, it's the same lesson that I would be providing to a business leader if I'm doing corporate training on a sales team, how they have to face rejection, how they have to be thinking about, hey, there are challenges in the world. What do I have got to do to overcome those challenges? Well, what I really have to do is work every single day. And people who are going through challenge, they have a hard time seeing that. In fact, I will show you an email that I received from a fellow named Al who's serving time in prison. And he writes me, he retained me a while ago to kind of be a coach and a guide for him. But it's hard. This is a guy who has an advanced degree, a PhD, and yet he's serving a time in prison. And this is what he writes to me on, I got this today, January 28th at 7:22 a.m. Eastern time, which is 4:22 my time, okay? Because I'm in California, he's in New York. But this is what it says. Michael, I get that because he wrote me yesterday or something before and asked me, what can I do to make myself productive in here? And I give him my examples, basically the same examples that I'm giving through these daily videos. He writes, Michael, I get that it takes an insane work ethic. Because I wrote, if you're going to be in prison and you want to be successful, you need an insane work ethic. And he says, that is something I have. I would be up at 4 a.m. to the gym and in my office by 6 a.m. I would teach classes at night and coach D1 softball. All this put me at home at 11 p.m. I have lived off my creativity. Right now, I still get up at 4 or 5 in the morning and go to bed at 11. I try to keep myself very busy working, writing, painting. I'm almost done with 2 college courses in law, which gets me a certificate in a paralegalism. I took and passed a legal research course to get a certificate. I write a lot. The law library here is horrible. The regular library is just okay. Resources are very limited. I read your book. And then he writes, I don't have the interactions with business people or outside resources that can assist me like you had. Well, I created those, okay? I didn't have them when I went to prison. And then he writes, I have a tremendous amount of support, but they all have very stressful and demanding jobs. I would like to write case studies. That's a project I encourage people to do. But I have no access to research material. I'm surrounded by drug dealers and addicts who accept prison as a way of life, a job hazard of murderers. I have met 2 people who have a college degree. And then he writes, I am well aware that you understand all this, but I cannot accept sitting here with a way to be productive in a manner I am used to. There has to be something I can do. I am already writing parole packets, Article 78s, and so on. This does not bring in money. In the future it can, but I need to find something now. And he writes, are my blogs getting any hits? Will they help me in the future? Should I write a book? Am I wasting my time? Well, so I wrote him back, and you can see I wrote him back at what time? 7:44 Eastern time today. So you can see, you can just do the math there. That was at 4:44 in the morning. So just before I made this video, I wrote him this letter. And it's the same message I'm going to give to everybody here. Only you can assess whether you're wasting your time. When I was in prison, I made a commitment of writing a minimum of 1,000 words every day. I didn't know whether anyone was reading those words, but I kept writing. When the internet began, because I went to prison before the internet, I had many articles to publish because I had written so many. Those articles and the documented record I created had a huge influence on my ability to build a career when I came home. They also influenced the way the world saw me, because Google metrics would show my publications influencing my online reputation, and I'll show you what I mean by that. If you think you're going to write a few blogs and then have money rolling into your account, you've got the wrong idea of how this works. You've got to look out 5 years from now. What will your online reputation look like in 5 years? The more you work, the more opportunities you will open. That is why a person needs a very strong mindset while going through a prison term. And I just write, I wish you strength in there. Well, I need to show you what that means, right? To say that you're going to be creative and working all the time, look at the work that an example of what that work is, right? It's learning how to develop new skills. I didn't know how to do any of this kind of work, of course, the day I got out of prison. But the work that I did while I was in prison put me in a position that I could learn how to create books or technology, or use technology to create businesses. And those businesses have generated for me several $1,000,000 during my first 7.5 years of getting out of prison. They allow me to work from home. They allow me to be self-directed. They allow me to make investments. They allow me to not have to live in the world with other people judging me as having been a person that was incarcerated for 26 years. Instead, I can show there's a pathway to go from struggle to prosperity. And it's not about thinking about what my life is going to be like right now. It's about saying, I've got to plant a seed, and then I've got to nurture that seed, and I've got to nurture that seed over time, and I've got to demonstrate a real commitment to excellence, to pursuing a better path. And a friend of mine, his name is Dean, and he's not only a friend, he's also a colleague who does work with me at the new business we're building at Compliance Mitigation. And he sent me this article about Warren Buffett. And he said, maybe you could create a video that really talks about the principles that Warren Buffett lives by and show how that also applies to prison. And it's really quite simple, because these are just principles of success. These are not relevant to only the financial sector or the investment sector or the business community. They're human life principles. That's what Warren Buffett is so famous for, is for bringing really good, sage advice, but in a really simple way. And here are, I think it's 4 of his principles here. 1, invest in your communication skills. Well, that's something I talk about every single day. Develop your critical thinking skills, learn new words, learn how to string words into sentences, sentences into paragraphs, paragraphs into persuasive articles or chapters or books. That is how you invest in yourself. That's not something I'm taking credit for. I learned that from leaders just like Warren Buffett. 2, model your leadership after the best. And he talks about here in his letter to shareholders of Berkshire Hathaway, Buffett summarized how one arrives at leadership greatness in few words. Much of what you become in life depends on whom you choose to admire and copy. So if you want to emulate leadership and become successful, and no one can dispute that Warren Buffett is successful. I mean, I think he's definitely in his 80s, if not in his 90s, and he's accumulated a fortune, of one of the largest fortunes in the world. So this is somebody who's giving you good advice, but are you willing to follow that advice? Then it says stop procrastinating. And that's something that a lot of people going through challenges do. They sit around and say, oh, there's no sense in what I'm doing. I'm angry at what happened to me, or it's not fair, or I'll start working when I go home. Well, that's a path. That's a choice, but there are consequences that follow that choice. If a person wants to be successful, a person has to be self-directed and willing to pursue excellence. And then finally, he says to follow the Buffett formula. But the Buffett formula is far from complicated, he writes. In fact, formula is a bit of a misnomer. According to the Oracle of Omaha, that's Warren Buffett, the key to success is going to bed a little smarter every day. It may be a no-brainer, but like a good investment, it holds the power of compounding interest. Adopt this sole principle, add in a healthy dosage of time commitment, and the results will speak for themselves. That's what I strive to show you. If you are determined to overcome the challenges that you're facing in life today, you've got to start planting the seeds. And those seeds, you need to nurture those seeds so that the seeds grow and build you a life of prosperity. That's what you will learn if you start working through the Earning Freedom Daily Journal. And what I was showing you here earlier was how I redesigned this book so to get distribution into more jails and prisons. But it's the insane work ethic that you can't talk about, you got to be about. And regardless of what you're striving to pursue, whether it's to lose weight, whether it's to build a more successful relationship with your spouse, whether it's to become more successful in business, the little tiny steps that you do every single day will have an enormous influence. And you see that I'm doing it. It's now 5:15 in the morning on January the 28th. I think today is a Thursday, but every single day I'm working. I want you to work. If you're watching this at home, I do hope that you will subscribe to our YouTube channel just by hitting the button and supporting our work. If you're watching it inside of a jail or a prison, I do hope that you get some value out of our daily journal. You can just pick any one of these days here, and let's see if I can pull one up. Any one of these days, and you can see a lesson, right? So if I scrolled this down, go back to the screen. If I scroll this down, you can see what they look like, right? Just pick any one of the days, right? You learn a lesson from leadership, whether it's this lesson is one from Bill Gates. It comes with an emphasis on vocabulary, like what does surreptitious mean? And can I use it in a sentence? It means hidden, by the way, as I recall. You want to be able to define it. You want to be able to develop your critical thinking skills. All these are little seeds of excellence. Little seeds in a pursuit of excellence, showing that you don't want to be this guy drifting in the ocean, not knowing where you are, but rather you want to be the type of guy that Warren Buffett advised, and that's the guy who goes to bed a little bit smarter every single day. Invest in yourself. I believe in you. You believe in yourself, and you will become successful.